Hi there, ladies. Aggie here. So I just wanted to make my first video in this challenge. I know that I have not made videos in the planning week, which is usually what I do. I usually make videos in the planning week. This time around, I was not able to do that because I was traveling. So I promised you that I will make up for it for the next 3 weeks. And I'm actually kind of excited about the subject of this challenge, which is anxiety relief, because this is something that has been a really, really big transformation for me, because I have experienced anxiety for a good portion of my life. And when I say anxiety, I mean panic attacks, I mean waking up in the middle of the night shaking, I mean having dreams that felt like an outer world experience of me ending up in hell. I mean, I've had panic in my life to the level where I felt like I was scared. It wasn't even just the anxiety that comes during the day. It was a type of anxiety that comes at night, hunting me down like I'm not even in my body. So I know about anxiety. I've had different levels of it. So over the years, I've been on a spiritual journey for about 10 years now. And I can tell you that even though anxiety was not necessarily the reason why I started this spiritual journey, in a sense that it wasn't a conscious decision that I want to resolve my anxiety and this is why I want to be on a spiritual journey. I actually wanted to be on a spiritual journey because I was heartbroken. Yeah, it was because of a guy. And as a result, though, as I was evolving, and as I was learning, and as I was doing all these practices to have more inner peace, my anxiety started healing. So I have a lot to say about this. I have a lot of, I guess there's a lot of lessons that I have learned that I can very clearly speak about now to you, about what to do when you have anxiety. And I can tell you that there are tools out there that are emotionally, I would say, liberating tools. And I'm talking about different spiritual modalities, relaxation tools. I'm not talking about a physical thing, but I'm talking about tools as far as different spiritual modalities or meditation, things like that, that can help you when anxiety strikes you. Now, before I get into tools, I want to speak just a little bit about what anxiety is, because I feel like to be able to face something head on, you have to understand its nature, right? So I'm going to make a series of videos here. This is not the only video I'm going to talk about anxiety, but in this video, at least, I want to get to the point where I can clarify what anxiety actually is. So, what is anxiety? Anxiety, if we really get down to the bottom of it, it's fear, right? We are afraid. When we feel anxious, even if it's subconscious, there is an uncomfortable feeling in us, right? There is thoughts in our heads about worst case scenarios. There's thoughts in our heads that are stressful. But at the end of the day, what anxiety is state of fear, which at the end of the day is stressful for the body. It's a state of signaling that something is wrong. Now, anxiety can happen for various reasons. It's really endless amounts of reasons how anxiety can strike us. What I want to eliminate here in this very first video is that if you have anxiety because of a physical reason, and when I say physical reason, I mean I had anxiety. I literally had the type of anxiety, this was one of the things, that took place because I was not nourishing my body properly. So anxiety doesn't just come from emotional issues or post-traumatic stress. It can also come from physical distress that we may not even be conscious of. For me, one of the reasons why I thought, one of the ways that I was feeling distressed is because I was not drinking enough water. Now, we really want to eliminate this part, right? We don't want to have extra issues and anxiety with something that can be solved as easily as eating right and drinking enough and nourishing our body properly. And you know, for instance, for me, what ended up happening when I wasn't drinking enough water is that I guess the volume of blood must be less. I'm not exactly sure how the physiology of this is, but I started feeling my heart beating differently. I had pressure in my head. I felt like I had a ball in my throat. I was not feeling thirsty. However, my body was in a state of distress, which at the end of the day is causing anxiety. What also could cause anxiety, and I'm talking about the physical stuff, right? Like literally what you put in your body, is when you're eating something that distresses your gut, that distresses your body. Like I'm sure that you notice that certain foods put you in a bad mood. I want you to begin paying attention to what your body needs to be in a good state. If weight loss or, you know, other types of things that would be motivating factors didn't motivate you, if you have anxiety, one of the first things that you want to eliminate is stuff that is put inside the body, such as, you know, how much you're drinking or how much you're eating, what type of food you're eating. You want to eliminate these factors as your cause of the anxiety that you're experiencing. So start with the foundation and make sure that your body is well nourished. Make sure that your body is well exercised. That in and of itself will give you a foundation of being in a I would say that in my case, that's, I would say 20 to 30% of the healing from the anxiety, to make sure that the physical part is taken care of. You want to start with that. So once that is out of the way, you can begin looking at other factors that influence anxiety, such as stress, trauma from the past, or stressful factors here and now in your life. Now, anxiety is interesting because it comes on and it feels like there's a feeling and there's a reason behind it, right? I want you to begin looking at anxiety that comes from these emotional or life situation factors as opportunity instead of something debilitating. I want you to begin literally looking at it like it's an opportunity. And the reason why I say that is because coming out of the victim mentality that anxiety is what's ruining my life, anxiety is debilitating for me. What anxiety is really doing is giving you a signal of something that is trying to be healed. And healing doesn't take place by making it go away. And the reason why I say this, I'm going to explain this. The reason why I say this is because let's say you have something that mentally bothers you and you keep feeling like, I have to remove this trigger. I have to remove this trigger. I have to get rid of what's causing this anxiety. Now, in some cases, yes, you shouldn't tolerate if someone is abusing you. For instance, that's an example of when you can walk away from a trigger. However, if your trigger is something that is not actually causing you harm now, it's something that's reminding you of a situation or something that's literally triggering a memory that you should be stressed about it, in that case, removing it is not going to help you. In fact, there's going to be a lesson to be learned that will keep knocking at your door until you face it. Okay? So what does facing it mean? Facing it means that instead of trying to take this trigger away, instead of trying to get rid of a trigger that isn't really the problem, it's just something that triggers the emotion, you begin to work on the emotion that comes up, the energy that's trying to pass through you, the stuff that's coming up. You begin working on that, and through that, you will be beginning to neutralize that trigger. So I want to come up with an example, and perhaps I'm going to just bring up a personal example. So, in my life, right, I had some deep anxiety. You know, I'm not going to get into the million reasons that I felt that I had anxiety, but at some point, I started having this feeling and this sort of, you can call it a universal message or an intuitive message, that my job is to begin allowing emotion and energy to pass through me instead of fighting it when it arrives. So, with anxiety, for example, when I feel anxious, let's say that something triggers my anxiety and I know that I am now at I'm now in a place where I'm very uncomfortable, I am emotionally distressed, I can feel the fear and I want it to go away. My reaction is no longer distracting myself from it. My reaction, based on what I have learned through the past 10 years, is that I begin simply allowing the emotion to come through. I begin allowing the emotion to begin flowing. Anxiety comes on, right? I no longer feel afraid of it. I no longer feel I'm the victim of it. I know that this is trying to help me grow. It's trying to make me stronger. I look at it as an opportunity to grow, because the truth is that when you allow anxiety to come through and give it space instead of trying to make it go away, when you allow it and you give it space, all of the sudden it can begin, it's no longer suppressed, it's no longer eating away at you, it's no longer eating you up inside, it's no longer becoming that factor that then perhaps even manifests itself on your physical body in some form of disease, which, you know, based on my belief system, I do believe that certain mental stress does manifest, literally shows on our body in different ways. So now when I have a difficult emotion come through, I say, okay, this is an opportunity for liberation, for neutralizing whatever trigger this in me, right? So I begin allowing it, and I begin feeling, I literally begin feeling, where do I feel this in me? Where is this hurting me, right? Because anxiety, at the end of the day, you feel it somewhere in your body. Anxiety is literally something that's gonna somewhere be felt in your body. This is your sensory system. This is how you're gonna sense everything, this body. So let's say that I'm feeling anxiety and I feel a ball in my stomach and I feel burning in my chest and it's uncomfortable. I want to distract myself. I want to do something to not feel it. I want to go run 5 miles just so I can get this out. Which I'm not saying that it cannot help, but it's not going to neutralize whatever trigger it is that has caused, you know, this feeling to come up. So what I do is I go within, I locate the feeling, I literally locate the feeling, and I say, okay, I give it space, speak to me. And when I say speak to me, I don't have expectations, I simply allow it to sort of have space. And sort of like, I always compare this process to eating a hot pepper. Okay? When you eat a hot pepper, it burns your mouth. Let's associate the feeling of anxiety to a burning pepper. The same way that the anxiety would feel like, oh my God, this is so stressful. I have all these thoughts. I have all these thoughts that are going to cause me. Where do you feel this? Where is it in your body? Right? Same way as the pepper burns. Where is this? Where do you really feel it? Where do you feel it in your body? When you eat the pepper, a lot of times, you know, people's reaction is, let me drink some water, let me have some milk, let me, you know, put ice in my mouth, whatever it is, because we're trying to get rid of the burn. Now, you can try this. Take some hot pepper, if you like, and you can try what it feels like if you just simply surrender to whatever that pepper makes you feel like. Let's say it's a pepper that, you know, it's a hot pepper, right, what we're talking about here, and it burns your mouth. You allow it. You allow it to burn. You surrender to it. You literally surrender to it and say, okay, do away on me. Do it. Burn. There is a point where that pepper peaks the burn. It cannot go any higher. And there's an immense amount of liberation at that point when you know you have surpassed that point, and it almost like starts dissolving. Okay? That is that power of that burning pepper that in a way you're taking away when you're surrendering to it and you're no longer fighting it. It takes courage, it takes bravery. But in a way, anxiety is actually dealing with anxiety or healing anxiety, right? I'm going to put this in quotation marks, is a very similar process. Because essentially anxiety is a resistance to what is and a fear of what is or what may be or what has been. It's an unprocessed fear. And if you don't allow yourself to be exposed to whatever energy that's producing in you and you're suppressing it and you're pressing it under and you're trying to distract yourself, it's gonna grow and it's gonna keep knocking at your door harder and harder to be seen. So what I want you to do is next time you have anxiety, allow yourself to go to the places that so far you've been distracting yourself from, and let whatever has to come to surface in, and I'm talking about a meditation here, right? So what I'm talking about is when the energy arises in you, when the sensations arise in you, give them space and say, do what you have to do. In a sense, you're saying that to the feeling, right? Allow it to come through and allow it to take you to all the scenarios that it's trying to take you in. And at this point, it's not so much about the thought or what you think causes your anxiety. At this point, this is about that sensation of the burn, if it was a pepper, right? It's now about the sensation, that anxiety, actually that energy that's being produced, that's making you feel uncomfortable. It's a surrender to that. Let that come up. Let that come out and invite it, not in a way that you're asking for it, but you're simply letting what is already there to come to surface so it can be seen. And similarly, how that burn with the pepper peaks, that sensation that anxiety really is, that we experience as anxiety, there's a point that it peaks, and from that point it cannot really go any higher. And it starts sort of dissolving in a very similar manner that a burning pepper would. So what I suggest in this video is a different perception of what anxiety is. Anxiety is an energy that arises, that's uncomfortable, and therefore we push it down. Now the truth is that if we push one thing under, we cannot truly be open to anything, because now, we have this block, this stuck thing that we are resisting, that we are not willing to feel. And it sort of blocks, our creativity, it blocks our intuition, it blocks a lot of different things that are trying to come through after. So, in a way, meditation is not about, here I am, I have to sit peaceful. No, meditation is about openness to everything that's trying to come through as energy. So I challenge you to think about this. And you don't even have to begin practicing it yet, but I would tell you to begin shifting that perception of that definition of anxiety, because the truth is that anxiety, that trigger, it's actually an amazing opportunity for a lesson. It's an amazing opportunity for liberation. Because after that, when that trigger is neutralized, you will feel like you have just made a huge step ahead in your life. You had made a huge step ahead in your personal development and your personal growth. Okay? So just think about this. Instead of running and trying to distract yourself from pushing anxiety under, what if we began 2, give it space and allow to be seen what it's trying to teach. Okay, ladies? So I want you to comment on this video and tell me, because I you know, this is a step, right? This is one step towards transmuting anxiety. I want you to tell me, when you feel anxiety, what does it really feel like? Because it's one thing to have a thought, but it's, to be honest, you know, once you do this process, you're gonna start realizing the thought is you know, it's not really about the thought. It's about this sensation, this energy that arises that is then experienced as anxiety. So I want you to comment and begin describing, feel into it. When you feel anxious next time, where do you feel it in the body? What is the sensation really like? It's a physical sensation. I'm talking about the physical sensation. What is it like when you allow it to bloom? And you know, if you're burning in your chest, let it burn. Okay, what is it like when I allow it to burn? I no longer distract myself with eating or exercise or whatever. I'm just gonna really pay attention. What is it? And I'm just gonna let it. I'm gonna go towards it with curiosity. It's a burning in the chest. Okay, so let it burn, let it bloom, let it. What does it do? How does it feel? I want you to begin describing it, and I want you to keep giving it space until you feel like it's kind of losing its power a little bit and it fizzles away. Okay? And I want you to write down what it feels like and what the experience is like for you. Okay, ladies? I will be coming with more videos, and I promise I will make up for the planning week when I wasn't making any. I will see you next time. Take care.